Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and in this video, I'm going to be trying something that I have never tried before. What I'm going to attempt to do is take this filament waste that I've accumulated by using the Bambu Lab A1 3D printer along with the AMS Lite and make it into something useful. And to do that, I've enlisted the help of the arts and crafts world, the good people who make amazing works of art using different types of resins. And I have here a line of different products that were kindly provided to me by the good folks at Let's Resin so that I can hopefully pull this off. Now, Let's Resin is a company that specializes in making different types of resins as well as accessories for your arts and crafts need. So I have some deep pour resin here, but they also sell things like UV resin, regular epoxy resin. They sell molds that you can pour your resin in. They sell things like mica powders and alcohol inks to add color to your resin and all different types of things. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out the link in the description so you can go over to their website and see what they have and check them out. So what I'm going to be doing is making a tabletop. And to make that tabletop, I've got this big old mold here. That's like a 14-inch silicone mold that's about 2 inches deep. Now, when I got this several months ago, I was intending to do something like this, but I never did. But I held on to it. So I've had this for a while. And what I also want to do is use this Flaming Moe's wall decoration that I printed live here on YouTube about a week or so ago from when I'm recording this. If you want to check out those live streams, go ahead, subscribe and hit the bell so you'll know when I go live, because I like to do live prints like this. So anyway, I made this, and what I want to do is put this in the mold, put it in the center, and then just kind of decorate it with some of this filament waste, and then pour the resin around and on top of it and hopefully come out with something very nice. Now, one thing that I don't know whether or not it's going to happen is whether the heat generated from the chemical processes between using the resin and the hardener, whether or not that's going to maybe melt this or at least make the colors bleed. I have no idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now, let me show you the stuff that Let's Resin has provided for me. I got right here a gallon of their deep pour epoxy resin. Now, deep pour epoxy resin does exactly what it says. It means that you can pour it into greater depths than you normally would. In this case, between 2 to 4 inches deep, and that's pretty darn good. And you have to mix it along with this hardener here at a ratio of 2 to 1. So 2 parts resin to 1 part hardener. So they provided this for me, and I think that this should be enough for this tabletop. I also have here this really cool resin mixer, so I don't have to mix it by hand. And this came with a whole bunch of cups with different measurements on it, and this thing is USB-C charged and it is portable, and all I have to do is just push this button and this thing is going to mix up the resin for me. Should make things a heck of a lot easier. Also got this little cleaning tool that came inside of the packaging along with this right here, which I'm assuming is some type of scraper, maybe scrape down the sides, I don't know, we'll see. And then we also have some gloves. Now, because this is resin, you do need, or at least it's highly recommended, protect yourself and wear some gloves. I've got some nitrile gloves all around here, so that's what I'm going to be using with dealing with this resin. And then I'm going to be using this filament waste here as much as I possibly can to put inside of this mold and hopefully just make something that's reasonably cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So come along with me on this journey, and I'll try not to screw it up. So it's been 72 hours since I poured the final layer of resin on top of this tabletop mold, and now I'm gonna demold it and see how it turned out. Now, the reason why I'm wearing these gloves is, you know, I know that it should be cured by now, but I'm just being a little extra cautious just in case there's anything liquidy still around there. There's probably not going to be, but you know, don't mind me, don't mind the gloves. All right, so here's the mold. I didn't put any kind of like release agent on it or anything, but let's just take this off, see how it turned out, and then I'll tell you about a whole experience and, you know, things that I would do differently the second time around, and, you know, just stuff that I've learned. So you see, like, there's nothing left in here. It's good to go for another use. And here's our tabletop. Let me take this little plastic off. I don't want you to think that's part of it, but there it is. I'll get a closer look at it for you. The Flaming Moe's epoxy resin tabletop with all of this filament waste, filament poop that I just kind of use as a decoration around it. I'll tell you what my mindset about this whole thing was. You know, the whole thing really was just me just wanting to put this waste in here, you know, just to sort of immortalize it. And then I just had this Flaming Moe's wall art just kind of sitting around, and I'm like, well, I can put it on my wall, but I thought it would be cool just to, you know, bring it out here to you know, just make some better use out of it. I can definitely see some things that I would love to improve upon. For example, I was getting a little bit impatient. I wanted to see just how cured or how tacky it was after about 24 hours or so. So I kind of touched this little corner right here with the little scraper, and it was like really gloopy, and it came up and it just never really leveled itself out after that. That was my fault. I shouldn't have touched it. But that's not the resin's fault at all. But I do have to say, this was some really good deep pour resin, I think. There were no bubbles when I was pouring all this in. I didn't have any bubbles. It was really good when it came to just leveling itself out and looking very nice and very clear, very easy to work with. And that mixer just made things phenomenally easier to do. And as far as like the whole colors with this goes, what I wanted to do with Moe was just kind of have it clear in the center and just kind of have what I thought would be reminiscent of like flame effects, or at least the colors from flames around the outside of it. You know, just because it's Flaming Moe's. Almost as hot in that cup as it is in this room right now, because I am sweating. All right, so gloves are off. It's not tacky or anything. It's completely fine. But yeah, this was a really awesome experience, and also a really awesome learning experience as well. I can tell you some things that happened while I was making this. When I poured the first layer of resin down on the Flaming Moe's sign, I was just going to keep pouring more and more resin on top, you know, because this is a deep pour resin. I could have filled this entire mold in one go and it would have been fine, because you can pour this stuff up to 4 inches and this is only 2 inches deep. So I could have done that. But as it was getting near about the middle, the sign was moving around as I poured more resin on it. And then at the same time, it was floating. So I was like, wow, this could be a problem, because I definitely didn't want the sign to float to the top of the resin. I wanted it to be embedded in the resin. So I was a little bit worried that I screwed the whole thing up. But then I thought, well, hold on for a second. If I just wait about a day, then the resin that's touching the bottom of the sign would have started to cure and get hard and basically freeze the sign in place. And then I would be able to pour more additional resin over on top of it without worrying about it moving and without worrying about it starting to float back up. And it was a happy little accident, because that worked out just fine. And then it also brought the sign more to the forefront of the top of the table, so it now separates itself from the rest of the filament waste, as opposed to being on the very bottom and having the filament just sort of overtake it, and the filament is now in front and now the sign is in the back. You know what I'm saying? So it just sort of worked out that way. So I would definitely think about that the next time I do something like this. I will also not mess with it when it's trying to cure, so like this won't come up. I know you can probably just sand that down and it'll be fine. But overall, this has been really, really fun. Now, the only thing I do now is find myself some legs that I can basically drill into here. Oh, and that's what the back looks like. Some legs that I can drill into this, and then I'll be able to, you know, actually have it as a small table sitting up somewhere. So when I do that, I'll just leave like a community post or something so you can check that out, but I still need to find it. But yeah, my Flaming Moe's tabletop made of deep pour epoxy resin from Let's Resin and decorated with filament waste from the Bambu Lab AMS Lite. And I got rid of most of the filament waste. Didn't get rid of all of it, but I got rid of the vast majority of it. And yeah, it's time to just build it back up again. So remember guys, if you're interested in trying anything like this, I'm gonna leave links to the Let's Resin website down in the description. You can check things out. And I am by no means saying that this is the most economical way for you to use your filament waste, because obviously the cost of the mold and the resin and everything, you know, this isn't something that you would do to try to like save money from your filament waste, but this is definitely something that you can do just as an arts and crafts project, so you can just make more use out of it. You know what I mean? So it's great for that. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.